So let's give this a shot. So welcome to the very first episode of Building a Unicorn. Honestly, we wanted to start this because I find that most people never really take you on the entire journey of how they build a company. I mean, most of the things that I've seen, whether it's on YouTube, on a documentary, on anything of the sort, is very much focused on the people that have already succeeded and then kind of taking a retrospective look at what happened. I just think it would be interesting to see something happen where you don't know if it's going to succeed or fail. So the intent behind this is, partially a way to document this for myself and friends, and we can kind of figure out what happened to be able to see what went wrong or what went right. But it's also to be able to share with anyone who's thinking about starting a company, like these are some of the real things that you're going to face when you actually get out there and start building a business. Now you might be questioning, like, who the hell am I? What have I done before? My name is Mike. I am a lawyer by trade, but I've built a couple of companies before, some of which have failed spectacularly, and some of which have gone good. Let's go back a little bit. So I'm American to start, but I recently moved to France to build a new company. The premise behind the company took some time to figure out. There was a little bit where we didn't know exactly what we wanted to do. We had a strong idea, tested the market, and it didn't quite work. But thankfully, through my entrepreneurial journey, I've been able to meet some really, really talented people. I have two co-founders in the business. One is a wildly talented developer, originally from India, but lived in Hong Kong for a bit, now based in Vietnam. The other is actually a good friend of mine. People say sometimes you shouldn't go into business with friends, but that's not true of all of your friends. This guy in particular has been one of my good friends for years. We've actually started a couple companies together before, so we know that we can work well together. He is one of the better people in operations that I've seen. He lives in Switzerland, and currently I'm living in France. And they say in the European market, oftentimes you don't necessarily have to come up with a new idea. You just have to come up with something that you've seen work somewhere else and then copy it and paste it into a different market. Now, that's not to say that that always works. There's always cultural considerations, there's always different market factors, and ultimately your ability to execute on any given idea that's going to be the difference between whether you're successful or unsuccessful. To give like the 30,000 foot view of what the business is, we've noticed that most small businesses, generally speaking, like brick and mortar businesses, have virtually no idea who their customers are, right? Like think about the idea that you go into a restaurant, you have a great meal, you love it. The restaurant doesn't really know who you are. I mean, maybe you pay with a credit card and they get a little bit of information, but not really, because all that information goes to the bank. So outside of posting on their Instagram where they're competing against every Instagram model, every other business on the entire planet, and all the other digital noise, that restaurant has no way to reconnect with you. What we want to do is empower those businesses to grow and connect with more customers, and if they've done a good job, drive regular traffic back to them. Now, you might say, okay, I understand what the value is for the business, but why would I as a consumer want to give any of my data to another business? I mean, Facebook's already sweeping everything up. Google's got everything, basically tracks where you are all the time. When we originally thought about this, we didn't think about it from the business perspective. We originally thought about it from the consumer perspective. And what we noticed was in the US, all of our friends, well, not all of them, but enough of them, get real value from their credit card points. So whether it's booking travel, getting discounts, getting access to various places, whether it's like a Priority Pass Lounge or the Delta Sky Club or whatever you want to call it. Programs like that are incredibly infrequent in Europe. So the idea that we kind of came up with is we ultimately want to build something where you can be rewarded beyond just the actual purchasing of a good or service for what you do. But we wanted to take a bit of a different tact to it. So to me personally, even though I have American credit cards, I just almost always wind up taking the cash back because I don't care about the points. And the reason I don't care about the points is I don't think the rewards are worth it. Now, if you told me that I could get things that were more relevant to me, I would 130% do that. And when I say more relevant to me, I know I've got different taste. I want to go to concerts. I want to go out. I want to do things that are social. I want to get access to cool areas of venues that I didn't normally have access to. The travel perks, they're great. But to me, the difference between flying economy and business class, I don't care. The plane gets there in the same amount of time, and I'm going to sleep the whole time anyway. So going out and getting 60,000 points to sit in the bigger seat for 4 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours. Not worth it to me. So we wanted to create a rewards program that gave a diverse array of different options for people to both earn and get rewards. Okay, so what are you gonna get out of following us, right? We're gonna give you the entire lowdown of what's happening. All the good, all the bad. We're just gonna try to document the entire process of building this company. Who knows? We may succeed. I think we got a good chance. But if I've learned anything in building companies or listening to other people who have built companies, nothing is guaranteed. Even if it looks like you're on a good path, anything can happen. If it looks like you might be down and out, anything can happen. To catch you up to where we are, we've already really started building the product. So we spent a long time drilling down and trying to figure out exactly what the value prop was to each of the constituent groups that are involved. So we wanted to figure out what is the value to a customer or a user, as we're calling them. Why would you want to sign up for this? Why do you want to give away your data? Why do you want, like, what kind of rewards would be relevant to you? What is the process that you're willing to go through to get those points? Because if I told you that you need to sit down and take the SAT every time to get 5 points, you're not going to do it, no matter how good the rewards are. But if it's something as simple as swiping a credit card that you were already going to do, or scanning a QR code, you'll probably do it. We had to figure out what the value is for the merchant. Do merchants even care about knowing their customers? What are the differences in priority between a club understanding who is coming back week over week and a restaurant, or a boutique, or a bakery, or any of those traditional brick and mortar businesses that you might encounter on a daily basis? And then there's a whole other school of thought of the people that are going to be putting rewards into the reward bucket. I had a meeting the other day with the founder of a new fashion startup who said, hey, for the brand exposure, if you get to X volume of people that are looking at your app every day to check what the rewards are, I would give you free product to put in there just so I could have better brand exposure. There's a bunch of people in the equation that we have to consider. Let me tell you a little bit about the team. So I already mentioned our developer and head of operations. And actually, there's a good example. We've already had someone kind of join and then decide it was a little too much for them and leave. And that will happen in startup. When you start, it's all sunshine and rainbows. But then people realize the amount of work it's going to take. Life happens. Things get in the way. People fall in love. People have things happen. Other opportunities arise. The one thing that's probably true is no one's going to be as dedicated to your idea and your business as you. Well, let me put it this way. I would rather know early that you're not down for the long haul than to get to a point where I need you and I'm relying on you and then you bail. So we actually had a designer who came on, started to work on a couple of things. We paid her some money for it. The idea was long term. She was going to get shares in the company. And then she had another part of her career that absolutely started to take off. And there's no animosity. I totally understand. Like, this was her passion, the thing that she wants to do for a living. I understand why she made the choice that she did. But it kind of left us in a position where now we have a bunch of half-done mocks, half-done designs, half-done screens for the app. And the developers are now sitting at a point where they are pretty much ready to start building the app, but they don't have a framework within, like a design framework within which to build. So the data model is all in the process of getting constructed, but the user interface is not remotely ready. These are the kinds of headaches that you're going to have to manage, especially, and this is for tech. I don't care whether this is tech. I don't care whether it's brick and mortar. I don't care if you're starting a restaurant, if you're taking over like an existing business. Anything where you need people, you're going to have potential to have a little bit of conflict. And that's not a bad thing, because the people are also the thing that are going to make your business wildly successful. I mean, we're getting to a point now with AI and tech and everyone's excited about it. At the end of the day, I'm still a firm believer that at some point during business, whether it's the sale of your business, whether it's anything, you're going to have to factor other people in. And God bless you if you can build a completely solo business that doesn't have anyone else involved. More power to you. Just in the ones that we've done and the ones that I've seen, you're going to have other people that you need to manage and rely on. But the situation with the designer isn't an insurmountable situation. It's just something that we'll have to sit and kind of work on and figure out. Now, I've seen situations before where founders break up and friendships are destroyed, and I mean, I don't know. It's just, if it can be avoided, it's not my style. So thankfully, we're still super amicable. The designer is still more than willing to help us on like a one-off basis, but I respected the fact that she was self-aware enough to know that if she was going to pursue her passion project, she couldn't devote the time and attention that she needed to what we were working on. And again, As I mentioned before, I would much rather know this early on than have it take ages and find out much later. So yeah, I mean, this is just the first one. We're going to get into a lot more of what's going on, and who knows, maybe it'll become a daily kind of vlog kind of thing. Maybe it'll be a once a week. Maybe it'll be once a month. I don't know. Either way, it's going to be a fun ride. It should take us to all kinds of destinations. It should probably have some tears, have a lot of laughs, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be a fun ride. So to the extent you want to be a part of it, feel free, follow along. But yeah.